What's up, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to Spill the Yoni Tea, where we keep it real, raw, and spiritual as hell. So grab your favorite drink and come as we spill the tea. And today's tea, we're talking about shadow, that dark, creepy basement of your mind you pretend doesn't exist. You all know what I'm talking about. That place where all the shit you don't want to deal with hides. And now, beautiful souls, if you grew up in the 80s, which y'all Gen X's did, so you know your horror movie vibes. We know Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, the monsters always came out when the lights went off. But the plot twist, baby, those monsters were never just out there. They were reflections of what we feared inside. And that's exactly what the shadow is, the parts of you that got pushed into the dark. So, what is shadow work? Let me break it down for you, baby boo. The shadow self is a concept that came from Carl Jung, but you don't need a psych degree to actually get it. Basically, it is every part of you that you've rejected, denied, buried because the world told you it wasn't acceptable or you weren't safe enough to express it. It is the anger you repressed, the jealousy you don't want to admit, the shame you hide behind a smile, the trauma you never want to face. It is that version of you that you pretend doesn't exist, but it always shows up anyways. In your relationships, your triggers, your habits, your self sabotage. And let me tell you, baby boo, your shadow is fucking slick. It wears a mask and whispers, "Don't look at me. It's too painful." But ignoring your shadow is like pretending Freddy Krueger ain't in your dreams. He's there waiting, just like your shadows. And that, my friend, is really about learning to do the work. Now, why did us Gen X's love those 80 cult classic horror movies? And you know what? It really was a symbol. It symbolized that fear. Thinking back to those 80 horror movies, remembering Freddy, he only had power when you were sleeping, when you weren't conscious. He only had power of the things that you feared. And if you fell into that fear mindset and you feared those things that crept up in your dreams, that's where he got y'all. Same with your shadow. When you're unconscious, not aware, not doing the healing, your fears are running the show. They're running the show behind the scenes and you don't even know about it. Or Jason and Friday the 13th, that dude in the mask haunting the same campground where his trauma started. That's us too, boo. We keep returning to the same damn emotional campsite. We're playing the same pain, the same story, the same heartbreak because our shadows hasn't been acknowledged. And Michael Myers, yo, that is emotional repression in a nutshell. Silent emotionalist Michael Myers was. He represents the shadows that doesn't speak, that numbness, the repressed rage, the emotional shutdown. Those movies were never just about the monsters, baby boo. They were a psychological mirror to us. The horror was inside our own human fucking minds. And Gen X, we grew up surviving and not feeling. We were told to suck it up, move on, don't be too sensitive. We shoved our emotions so deep down. And guess what? That's where the shadows fucking live, in the dark and in the silence. In the parts of us we never let breathe. Let's talk about the truth about shadow work. Why you can't heal what you keep pretending doesn't exist, baby boo. Let's keep it real for a minute. Everybody everybody, and even me, and even the Pope, and even the highest spiritual guru, everybody out here talks about love and like it's a damn Pinterest board. But baby boo, you can't high vibe your way out of trauma. Let me repeat that. You cannot high vibe your way out of trauma. That is spiritual delusion. That is a manipulation that, oh, I'm just going to pretend everything's love and light and there's no dark. I don't want to talk about the shadow. But then 3 months down the road, you're going to get a trigger and you're going to spiral and you're going to go into a depression. When you heal, you realize depression is just decompressing of those emotions. And when you don't make that connection in your heart space, it's really hard to get out of that. So, shadow work. I'm going to tell you, baby boo, that's not lighting a candle and pulling up a tarot card while sipping on some fucking rose tea. Shadow work is crying on the bathroom floor because your inner child just realized she or he has been begging for breadcrumbs their whole goddamn life. It's messy. Shadow work is uncomfortable. It's that moment you realize you've been the one ghosting yourself. Yes, baby boo. And that's the real horror story. We spend decades, especially as Gen Xers, repressing everything. We were told not to cry, not to talk back, not to make a scene, be strong. And we took that shit to fucking heart. We became masters at looking fine while we were totally fucking falling apart inside. I remember so many times because I've had mental breakdown. I have been so broken that I have fell in the dark night of my soul many of times. And it is when you face your shadows, you face those demons head on, you take your power back. And for a long time, I would put a smile on my face. Nobody knew the shit that I was going through. Everybody assumed I had a perfect life because that's what I put out there. And I would have to go to the bathroom sometimes at work or out, and I would just cry. And I would never let anybody see me cry because I wasn't allowed to look weak. I always had to be strong. And baby boo, that is spiritual delusion at its fucking core. That smile that we plaster on our face, because we've all done it. While inside you were like, okay, stay cool. I'm totally fine. While your inner child is setting the whole inside of you on fire. It is setting the house on fire. That, my friend, is called fucking repression. And repression is the shadow's favorite hiding spot. You can't truly love yourself fully if half of you is locked up in a basement like fucking Carrie before prom night. And that's another deep, like Stephen King, like hit some deep emotional, psychological core wounds in his writing. And that's the truth bomb. The truth bomb, baby boo, is here's the dark humor in all of it. Your shadow ain't trying to destroy you. It's tired of being ignored. It's like knocking on you, breaking you, saying, hey, fuck, remember me? Like, face me, look at me. That part of you that's jealous, angry, insecure, lustful, and petty as hell. Yeah, I exist too, it's saying. Stop acting brand new because a lot of us, we will do that. We face some kind of trauma thing. And instead of actually dealing with those emotions and dealing with that shadow part, we will find something new, whether it's a relationship, spending habits, addictions, anything, just to avoid from looking at that. And that's what I mean by saying, "Stop acting brand new," because you're not, baby boo. You're just adding layers to the facade, and you're wearing the same mask Jason wears. You can't light sage around your pain and expect it to disappear. You got to invite it in to the damn table, because shadow work isn't about killing that darkness. It's about befriending it. The moment you stop rejecting those ugly feelings, that shame, guilt, jealousy, and fear, they lose their power. And you finally see, oh, damn, that wasn't the villain. That was the wounded version of me who needed to be loved. And why you can't heal without it. Baby boo, I'm telling you, you really can't. You can't claim to love yourself and still hate the parts that don't look pretty. That is a fake healing. That is spiritual Botox, numbing that muscle. And I'm going to talk about this, about numbing. When we numb our pain, and I mean, it was a big thing, like this whole people cutting themselves, burning themselves. This is not a new trend that came up. This was huge when we were growing up. We had friends who, tried cutting names into their arms to make it look like they're doing tattoos. And that was a mask. That was Jason masking that pain. Cause I was in that. I used to cut myself. I would burn myself because I wanted to know that I still felt something. And it is that disconnect from you, your mind, your heart, it's a whole disconnect. And that's what I mean with spiritual Botox is you're trying to do things to know that you can still feel something, and you enjoy feeling that because it makes you feel that you are still alive inside because you feel so numb. And that is a whole nother topic for another episode. But getting back, real love means saying, I love the version of me that was toxic. I forgive the one who stayed too long. I accept the parts that want revenge. And let's be real, baby boo. When somebody does you wrong, you want them to feel that pain that they inflicted on you. That is a hard wound. I'm going to tell you straight, when you begin your healing journey and you do the work and you do the shadow work and you face those demons head on, revenge is a joke because you are the best revenge. You healing yourself and choosing you over somebody toxic is the best revenge because you are not entertaining those cycles, that lifestyle anymore. You are choosing you, baby boo. Because those parts of you, they're not bad. They were protecting you at that time to get you through. And when we talk about repression, we talk about PTSD, a lot of those, it's trauma responses to help push you through the next day, because sometimes these emotional triggers and wounds, they can hit you so hard that you don't even know how the fuck you're going to get up. And that alter ego comes in and it does serve its purpose at the time. But you can't build a peaceful life. You cannot build a peaceful life from a battlefield mindset. When you repress your pain, it doesn't disappear. It fucking festers. And then it shows up wearing a new outfit. The lover who keeps triggering your abandonment issues, the boss who reminds you of your critical parents and that you're not enough, the friendships that drain you because you still think you have to earn love. Your shadow will keep throwing you these fucking red flags. They'll keep throwing you these bombs until you fucking pay attention And when the devil taps you on the shoulder, you turn around and you face it. It's about finding balance. So, how do we find balance between the dark and the light? Because it is the yin and yang. It is who we are. It is, there is daylight and there is nighttime. So, stop pretending your shadow is a bad thing. The dark isn't evil, it's depth. Your emotions aren't too much, they're your roadmap home to you, baby boo. Truly learning to love all of yourself. And then you can laugh at your darkness when it shows up. You ever notice when you finally own you're crazy, it's not that crazy anymore? That's the power, boo. Dark humor is healing because it says, I can laugh at the pain I once thought would destroy me because you're not a victim of it anymore. And your silence keeps you a prisoner in your body. Balance isn't about perfection. It's not a straight line between light and dark. It's a dance. Some days you'll glow like a fucking goddess, and other days you'll be, are you fucking kidding me? Away from losing it. That is balance. It is called being human. It is the human experience, baby boo. That is how we grow. We can't grow if we're not learning about ourselves. Truly, if you want to grow and align and manifest and really learn to operate out of your heart space, you got to grow. When you stay in that spiritual delusion of not wanting to do your shadow work and just think that you can manifest and what you put out to the universe and just trusting the universe and not doing the work, you're walking blindly and you're going to you'll be good for 3 or 4 months and then you're going to hit something that's going to totally knock you back down until you do the work, baby boo. Turning your shadows, because that's the beautiful thing. We can turn our shadows into fucking art. That's what fucking poetry. That is what music is all about. You write, paint, move, speak, transmute that pain. That's how you alchemize that bullshit that you've been dealt and you turn it into gold. Because, the phoenix rising, we all talk about the phoenix rising and being reborn from the ashes. But did you know that the phoenix shit, when it's rebirthed, turns into gold? So, baby boo, I don't know. I'm about turning my shit into gold. And that's what it is. You can't call yourself healed if your shadow is still locked up in a fucking closet screaming for attention. Baby boo. And that is why, like, this whole life experience, we are going to be constantly healing different parts of ourselves so we can grow and evolve. But it's when you come to that point of facing those shadows, those are core wounds, those abandonment wounds, whatever the wounds are that you're facing, you got to learn to heal that part. And that starts with doing the shadow work so you can learn to love and honor all of you. Healing isn't all about crystals and affirmations. It is facing dead on your emotional hangovers and still choosing to show up with love. So if you want true love, you got to truly love yourself. Stop hiding from your darkness. Stop judging your shadows and start integrating it. Because once you do, oh, baby, boo, that's where it gets juicy. That's when the monsters under your bed become your fucking bodyguards. Because I'm going to tell you, when you go to the dark night of your soul, you are going to you're going to your own personal hell. And when you can reclaim that light, and it's only when you're fallen in that place, that you really learn to reclaim your light and you walk out with that sword blazing fire. Damn. Now that is shit. You are going to be so spiritually protected because you've picked up. When that devil came tapping on your shoulder, you turned around and you faced it, grabbing that sword of light, which is you. So, why do we need to face our fears? Here's the real plot twist: healing doesn't happen in the light. Like I explained, it starts in the dark. You got to face what you've been running from, because the things you avoid don't disappear, they grow. Fear festers in the dark, shame multiplies in silence. When you finally look the shadows dead in the eye, you realized it was never here to destroy you. It was here to reveal you. You're not broken, babe. You're you're layered. Every wound has wisdom. Every pain carries power. But here's the thing: facing your shadow, damn, it ain't cute. It's crying in the fucking shower, sitting with rage you didn't know you had. It's grieving the version of you that you kept pretending to be, or pretending everything was okay. That's why most people avoid it. They keep chasing distractions, fake love, quick highs, avoiding anything to feel that. But Gen X, we've been the generation to endure. We survived it all: the broken homes, the latchkey kid childhoods, the emotional neglect. We were fucking built for this work. We faced external monsters our whole fucking life. Now it's time to face our inner ones and finally heal. Now, this is a little trick. This is usually what I give a takeaway with a lot of my clients: how to start facing those shadows when they appear. This is actually a little bit of shadow work. Here's the truth: this is not a fucking trend, it is a lifestyle. This is why we talk about journaling or making notes. So, anytime that you get a trigger and that fear sparks in and you start over analyzing everything in your mind, because fear is an illusion, baby boo. But that is the fear of you running from those monsters. So I want you to start getting curious, and don't judge yourself, because you cannot judge yourself, baby boo. You got to allow yourself to feel. So get curious about why you're feeling these emotions. When a trigger hits, do not react. Really ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? That's your shadow waving, hey, I'm here. Pay attention to me. Write it out on a journal as if you're journaling, as if your journal is a mirror. Ask yourself, what parts of me do I hide from others? What am I afraid people will see if I stop pretending? What am I afraid to see if I stop pretending? That is the question you need to really ask yourself. And then you're going to really write that down and sit with those feelings. And this is not taking you into when you actually learn to heal and accept all of you unconditionally, the good, the ugly, you realize that what people deem as depression is really decompression. And you learn to use that tool properly, and you decompress those thoughts instead of getting lost in those thoughts and spiraling in a different way. You actually learn to control those moments and that emotion, and you decompress. And you're not spiritual bypassing these feelings. And when these feelings come, feel them. Don't ignore them, baby boo. Feel it, cry it, scream it, shake, move. Your emotions are energy that needs to be released. Now, what you're going to do after you release these emotions, you're going to practice self forgiveness. Your shadow isn't evil, it's fucking wounded. You were just trying to survive. So finding a safe places. You can go to therapy. You can do shadow work with coaches or sacred feminine healing circles or sacred masculine healing circles, period, whether you're male or female. Find your tribe. Find people that you can relate to and you can bounce off. Definitely seek a practitioner that can help guide you and navigate you through these sessions. You don't have to be alone. You're not a lone wolf, baby boo. And if there's no shame in seeking help, because I know the number one thing I see a lot when I'm coaching or guiding somebody through some of these embodiment practices, when it comes to rage, people are really scared to express their rage. And then when they do, it's a huge relief because it's been done in a safe place where you don't feel judged, where you're just being honored and being allowed to be seen in your truth. And that, my beautiful friends, is healing. So don't have to do this alone. The light after the dark. You know what happens after you face your shadows? You stop being afraid of yourself. You stop people pleasing. You stop playing small. You stop chasing for external validation. Because the moment you meet your darkness, you find your light. And that, my beautiful souls, is real fucking healing. Not pretending you're love and light all day, but knowing you've been through hell and you still chose love. Baby boo, that is you picking up that fucking sword. Your light and emanating because you just faced the things that you didn't want to face. And that, my beautiful souls, is where true healing and accepting and fully learning to love yourself really begins. It's that fucking magic. It is stopping Freddy Krueger from taking control of your mind. It really is. And that's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you free, baby boo. So make a journal. Really start feeling your feelings of when insecurity, or when we talk about validation, and even the point of other women or men judging people for the way they look, or it really is a reflection of your own insecurities, because those insecurities will plague us. And it's those fears that keep us trapped in our mind. And it's really about facing those narratives. And a lot of those things can happen in your childhood, and you don't have to have extreme trauma to have these situations come out. It could be as simple as, I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, we lived in, it wasn't a very, there wasn't a lot of diversity where I grew up and went to elementary school. So when my mom would pack me a lunch, sometimes she would pack me, you know, fish sandwiches and a Portuguese bun, or, my favorite, it's a St. George, like it's a St. George cheese that's really strong, and it smells, and it's my favorite cheese. And my mom would pack me these lunches, and I would literally starve. I would not want to pull out my sandwich, because the moment you open it, y'all know, you know, that kid that brought that smelly food. Yeah, that was me. And I was traumatized to eat my food when I was young. I was scared to be different. And that was an emotional trigger for me. And when I had to face that growing up, I was like, yo, I don't give a fuck what you think what my food smells like. You don't like it, you don't have to eat it. I don't like your food. Like, really, I'm not gonna be embarrassed. I'm gonna be unapologetically who I am, and this is my culture, and this is the food that I like, and I don't care if you like it or not. And that is a little tig nugget of you reclaiming your power because we all have those moments where we repressed who we were in fear of what other people would think or judge. And when you learn to face your demons and those monsters, you really stop caring what people think because at the end of the day, they're not the ones balancing your mental health, your emotional health. It is you, baby boo. It is your story. And your story is to evolve and to become the best version of you. And it does start with unapologetically loving all of you. So, tonight, when you look in the mirror, beautiful souls, remember the monster under your bed was never real. It was your shadows begging to be seen. And the second you face it, it stops being the villain and becomes your guide. You are the light and the dark. You are the survivor and the healer. You are the story and the rewriter of it. So don't be afraid of your shadows, Gen X. That's where power begins. And that is where your power has been hiding the whole time. So, baby boos, until next time, stay raw, stay real, and remember, you are worthy of love. You've always been. So stop searching for it because the truth is in you. And if this podcast resonated, please share, follow, like. Your sister, the sister can get as much help as I can to get this message out there because it is really about us understanding and navigating through all our emotions. And yeah, I'm trying to bring spirituality to you so it's fun, it's engaging, it's relatable, and understandable. And I appreciate you all for taking the time to sit here and sip some tea with me. And until next time, beautiful souls, keep it real, keep it raw, and be fucking unapologetically you. Sending you lots of love. Ciao.